absolutely wild as Vern Gagne's All-Star Wrestling goes coast to coast and continent to continent. The greatest wrestlers in the world.
He may be an apprentice carpenter, but I guarantee you he is a seasoned ring veteran.
I've been hit with bar stools, bar rags, barmaids.
I'm talking to you.
They're scared that Hulkamania's still running wild. Oh, yeah. I got a big fat wife and 9 kids at home, and I gotta feed them.
And take a look at Jesse the Body in real life.
Open your hand once if you would.
You want the stick?
This is absolutely unbelievable. Totally, completely out of control.
He's coming in over the top. Hey! Look out!
Hello, everybody. Welcome in to a very special edition of AWA Unleashed. We are the preeminent #1 podcast dedicated to the American Wrestling Association. It's what we consider to be the best wrestling territory in the history of the wrestling business. But who is we? You can't have we with just one person, because this is singular. We is plural. I know that because I'm a grammar guy. Okay? Mick, he uses his voice, his words. He's a grammar guy. Joe, he's a guy. So, what's up, guys?
We.
As long as you don't call me a grammar cracker, we're okay.
Oh, God, I missed that.
Oh,
25 seconds in, and we've already got the racial overtones. This is great.
Oh, great.
I guess
No,
so
as
this
long as
show
you
is
don't.
no longer woke. Is this show no longer woke? Are we woke or not? I need to know.
I'm wide fucking awake.
Hey, cheers to being awake. Oh, by the way, if you want one of these, go to tpublic.com. You can get all your Slick Mick merchandise. You can get your AWA Unleashed merchandise. It's a great place. So there's the quick pitch. We've got our pinfall membership as well. You guys, the ones that have it, $4.99 a month. It's great. You can sign up. Link is in the description of the video. Otherwise, just go to the YouTube, and if you're the audio, just go to YouTube. And if you're watching audio, you don't want video anyway, so never mind. Doesn't even apply to you. First time I've told people not to subscribe. You know what? If you like audio, you're not a video guy, you don't want to see this, that's cool. A lot of people don't want to see this, so I understand.
You know, Tubbsy, I was looking at you when you came on screen there, and I'm thinking, who does this guy remind me of? And you know what I came up with? Seriously, This is no joke. Mandy Patinkin.
Manny Patinkin?
Mandy Patinkin. You know who he is?
Yeah.
No.
The
No, I
actor.
have no idea who Mandy Patinkin is.
Oh, he's in it. Joe, doesn't he look like Mandy Patinkin does these days?
I'll give you, yeah. I mean, I can see that a little bit.
Mandy Patinkin. Look it up when you
Well,
get
are
a
you
chance.
going to tell me who Mandy Patinkin is?
Well, do a quick search. He's an actor. He's been in.
I can't do a Google. Hold on. Okay. You guys do the show. I'm going to Google Mandy. Well, if I Google Mandy Moore, I'm not going to be back for a while, just to let you know.
We'll see you in 20 seconds.
Hey, you know what? We are.
Don't worry about it. Hey, look him up later on. We haven't got time for this childish balderdash.
Oh, yes, we do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we
got a
do.
lot. We got a lot of matches to go over.
We do. Hey, this is episode number 200, guys, and we're excited because this is one that we wanted to put out there for everybody. And man, we were going to do it a while back, but it makes sense to do it for number 200. This is a huge show, man. A lot of podcasts don't get to 200, let alone to have the sort of intrigue for this one. So we asked you for your cards, your dream matches. And before we get into it, just you guys kind of expand a little bit, a couple minutes each on what you've seen before we actually get into it.
I've seen what we typically see, especially with one or two old guys in the mix. Kind of a generational thing. You know, there was a lot of, if you were an 80s fan or a 70s fan, that was kind of your wheelhouse. You kind of stuck to it. Whereas, you get a guy like me who doesn't know what planet he's on. All of a sudden you got 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and whatever else. And Chupik felt a little bit under the gun. And, we bent the rules a little bit. We expanded the playground. So Chupik at the last minute changed up his card. The judges allowed this to happen. Chupik, as you know, has influence with the judiciary, the constabulary here on the podcast, and you got an opportunity to do a little bait and switch.
Had to redo it. There were so many names, and to limit it to just 5 matches for my list. In theory, though, that could have been as few as 10 wrestlers over the course of time, 20 if it's tag teams. I probably ended up going about 30, and I consider it as me being a generous booker. More talent on the card. Spread more money out to the talent. Well deserved for them.
Yeah, and it was very interesting how you mentioned, Mick, that people kind of stayed in their wheelhouses. Like when we get to ours, you'll kind of see a definite difference in what we have. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the cards, some of the matches. We're not going to put up pictures till we get to the end, because otherwise it's just going to get really kind of convoluted. So we've got a bunch of them. Joe, you want to go ahead and kick things off here?
Yeah, and as we do these, please feel free to go on our Facebook page and make some comments about some of the matches, good, bad, or otherwise. But let's get it started. We're going to go with Bruce Anderson. He's got 5 matches, and here we go. He's got a face, Billy Robinson, versus a heel, Shawn Michaels.
Very good.
That would be interesting. Although there was never a heel Shawn Michaels in the AWA, that's okay. We're looking at their entire embodiment of work.
And it's
so we're talking the Heartbreak Kid, yeah. Shawn Michaels. That's okay. All right. Yeah. I dig that. I could get behind that.
That'd have been a very, very good technical match.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I have a feeling Billy Robinson's going to come up more than a few times on that. So that's a good call.
And Mick, I think you would like, I know at least half of this one. It's going to be a tag team. Larry Pretty Boy Henning, I added that Pretty Boy part, and Harley Race versus the Road Warriors.
I like that a lot. And I obviously we're talking about with all these people in their prime. Yes. You're not talking Harley Race and Larry Hennig 1965 and Road Warriors, whatever it is in their prime. That's what you've got to envision here. I love that match. And I think with Harley and Larry, I'm going to say the Road Warriors, as tough as they were, might have gotten a little lesson in not being too stiff in that ring.
So do we want to pick winners too, or do we want to?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Bruce gives a little love to the ladies. Vivian Vachon versus Sherry Martel.
Love it. Chris, I don't think you ever had the opportunity to see Vivian.
Never did.
Pure Vachon. If you ever get a chance to look at the movie, I Like to Hurt People. Mm-hmm. Vivian is in there. And Wrestling Queen is the one I'm thinking of, actually.
Okay.
Vivian was.
I think I remember hearing the name of Wrestling Queen, but it's funny that match is on there, because remind me to circle back to it, because I've got a story about that very matchup when we get to it.
Okay. Yeah. I like it. Well, I like it, Bruce. Go ahead. What else we got, Joe?
Next match would have been a main event in any organization at any time in their prime. And I think it may have happened, but it's Nick Bockwinkel versus Ric Flair.
It definitely happened. And as per usual, and I think we've got that match itself a variation of on somebody else's list coming up. Bockwinkel and Flair, I know for sure they had at least one match where they went to a draw or simultaneously went over the top rope, which is pretty typical when you've got those inter-promotional championship matches. Nobody, promoters are not going to give an inch. They want their guy to go over. So what better way to do it than not have either of them go over?
Yep.
Well, they did go over the top rope.
Over the top rope, yes.
Over the top rope. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I mean, and it's interesting because you've got these like no contest. Notice that the whole double DQ or a double time limit, like a time limit draw, those don't even happen anymore.
I know they don't. Yeah, business has completely changed, buddy. Totally changed.
I don't think they even announce time limits on the matches anymore.
The AEW does.
Yeah.
But WWE does not.
No.
Okay. Well, speaking of AEW, we're going to go to Jason Marinus.
Hold on, we got one more match for Bruce Anderson.
Oh, sorry. I missed that one. Sorry.
Vern Gagne versus Kurt Hennig.
Wow. Prime Vern Gagne versus Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig.
Mm-hmm.
Electric.
I can see Kurt. Remember when he became Mr. Perfect? He had the towel, and the one scene he goes, or the one clip he goes behind his back, and it ends up on
his shoulder.
On his shoulder. I can see Kurt grabbing the towel from Vern, who always wore a towel around his neck, and, grabbing it from him and doing that and really pissing off Vern to begin that match.
Oh, I love that. And again, we're talking guys in their prime.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what everybody, when we say to somebody, what's your dream match?
Yeah.
We're asking them, what would you salivate over?
Yeah.
And in their prime, Vern Gagne and Kurt Hennig, I couldn't agree more. Great stuff.
Yep. Joe, I love the idea for how that match would start. Like, that would just be classic Kurt from what I could understand.
Yep.
And do it with a smirk on his face.
Absolutely.
Well, is there any other way that Mr. Perfect would have done it? That's Kurt.
That was, Joe, that is a fantastic way to start that match. Oh my God. I don't know that we can top how that match starts, but now, Jason, we can go to yours, because you were mentioning AEW. He's an old school AWA fan. He likes AEW, so he's gonna put these two together. So in terms of the match styles, he's got a pure rules match. We're gonna stay with Vern Gagne, and he's going to take on Handsome Harley Race.
Wow. Well, Vern and Harley certainly wrestled each other back in the AWA days, 1960-ish, both singles and tag team match. But again, now you're looking at prime Vern Gagne, prime Harley Race. The argument can be made, was the prime Harley Race when he was NWA champion? Probably. When he was in the AWA in the 60s, he was a young, brash Harley Race.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on what you got going, but I like that old Vernsky and Harley. Good stuff. Good call.
Question for you. We've talked about the talent in their prime. When would you say was Vern's prime decade? What would it have been? And it doesn't have to be 50s, 60s, 70s. Would it have been like maybe 55 to 65? In that range?
I would say 55 to maybe 68, 69.
Okay.
I think in when you got into the early 70s, Vern started to slow down his schedule. He was champ, but I think in like 1972 or something, he defended the title a total like 12 or 15 times over the course of the whole year. So yeah, I mean, early Vern, 50s, early 60s, obviously his best. I remember him most from the mid to late 60s, but then I think he started to slow down. You could see a little bit of the decline going into the 70s.
Yeah, well, which in the 70s, Vern would have been in his mid 40s by then already. So, understand.
So was there ever like a 30-day defense rule at all? Because we hear that used to be a thing and now it's not. Like, were there any rules? Do you guys know of like you had to have a certain time frame where you defended the title?
It's wrestling. If they needed to insert it into the storyline, Stanley Blackburn would issue that edict. If they didn't want to, then no time frame existed. Welcome to wrestling.
What? That's
Yeah.
that's cookie talk. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, really. Okay.
Never heard of that. Here's one: old school meets new school. Larry Hennig versus Kurt Hennig. Now, I don't know what. First of all, what version of Larry Hennig would work? I assume when we talk about Kurt, we're always going to the Mr. Perfect
Yeah.
type. But for you guys, is it Larry the Axe or is it Handsome Harley? Because I didn't see Larry Hennig.
Joe, I don't know how you feel about this, but I would say if Kurt's going to be the heel in the Mr. Perfect persona, we get the dad against the kid, with Larry Hennig being Larry the Axe as a babyface, trying to teach his kid a lesson. That would be my guess. I don't know.
Which, I mean, Larry turned babyface in the early 70s when he came to the rescue of Greg Gagne.
Yep.
So, I mean, that would have been, in my opinion, sort of the latter part of Larry's prime. I think his prime would have been, 60s into the early 70s.
Agreed.
So take that 1974 version. I think that was the year that he turned babyface, and put him against the Mr. Perfect gimmick. I think that would have been a good match. In fact, my original submission, I actually had Vern and Larry versus Kurt and Greg, but I took that one out, and I'll explain when I get to mine. Next match.
All right. A dream tag team cage match. I think this is key. A cage match.
Okay.
The Midnight Rockers versus the Road Warriors.
Oh boy. I think a lot of people would like to see that match for different reasons. That's, you could get away with that kind of match, I think, with the High Flyers against Ventura and Adonis, or the Sheiks. I'm not so sure that the Midnight Rockers in a cage against the Road Warriors would not be one-sided. I'm not saying that they wouldn't give Marty and Sean their shine, but boy, I think Animal and Hawk would have a good time in that match.
I've not seen a Road Warriors cage match that made me go, wow. They seem, for my tastes, I just like them better in the non-cage raw environment. In fact, I don't know that I ever saw color off of the Road Warriors. Not saying that it didn't happen, but the only color that they had was the paint on their face.
Boy, that's really interesting, Joe.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so when you're in a cage match, I'm sorry, as a fan, if I don't get color, I'm disappointed.
Well, how about the big spots off the cage from Marty and Sean? Maybe the power of the Road Warriors, maybe the big spots of like Marty and Sean with the double teams. I mean, is that kind of, could we go along those lines?
Yeah, but we've been talking about the Road Warriors, and my point was the Road Warriors in the cage, it never really did anything for me, because they just work better when I watch them in the raw state, in an uncaged, no gimmick match. No holds barred could be one thing, but they were just so devastating. They didn't need a cage, because it just, I don't know, just never worked for me.
Well, you know what? And that's a great point. The match might have been actually better just a match.
Yes.
Without putting the cage. Then you kind of free up both teams to do what they do best. So
agreed.
Okay.
Let's go with a Texas death match. Stan Hansen versus Mad Dog Vachon.
Oh, jeez. I like that.
Violence personified right there.
I like it a lot. Maybe going back to what Joe said, the Texas death match, again, you got the variation on a theme like a cage match or whatever, but I don't know that with Hansen and Mad Dog, again, I don't think you need a Texas death match. I think you just let Mad Dog and Stan Hansen go out there and tear it up like they did with Hansen and Martel, go all over the building. But I like the matchup. Can you picture the difference in size, with the Dog and Stan Hansen. Good stuff, though. Two all-time greats.
My only change on that would be, instead of a Texas death match, to do the old Algerian death match, where they had the black hood over their head, and they're supposedly not able to see their opponent.
That would have been the Omaha via Montreal Algerian cage match.
Yes, yes.
Well, see, and I figured it'd be a good match for Mad Dog, because if Stan couldn't see and he tried and throw the lariat, Mad Dog wouldn't even have to duck. He could just stand there.
You know,
So Anthony would never hit him with the lariat. He'd just be woof. Mad Dog would be.
Maybe why he went with the Texas death match is Stan didn't need it to be the Algerian death match because Stan couldn't see anyway. So what, he was used to being blind.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, put Mr. Magoo in a blindfold. What's the point?
Exactly.
And here's to wrap up. It's interesting. We've already got a repeat. So I love where people's heads are at. Nick Bockwinkel, Ric Flair, and this kind of goes into what we were talking about before. There are no more Broadways in wrestling. 60-minute Iron Man match. So there you go, Bockwinkel and Ric Flair.
60-minute Iron Man.
Two cards, two Bockwinkel and Flair matches.
Well, you have to believe that in the 60-minute Iron Man match, each guy has a fall, and then the 60-minute time limit runs out just before one guy is at the 2 count. Again, with no winner. When you got Bockwinkel and Flair in their prime as champions, there's not going to be a definitive winner. There just isn't.
Correct.
I love the old 1, 2, ding, 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 and then it's like I don't know. I love that sort of suspense.
Very good. All right, who's the next contestant on The Price is Right?
Well, I believe it's our resident AWA Unleashed rapper JS. Not JZ, but JS.
Yes, okay.
And sort of a variation on what I had, originally put down. But Jay has got Vern and Greg versus Larry and Kurt, and he expands on that. If the Hennigs win, they will run the AWA for 1 month, and they will, according to Jay. This will be Larry's chance to do an auto Vance and give himself the belt.
Wow.
Oh, I love that.
Very, very interesting. And can you imagine if Larry could really run the AWA for a month? Can you just imagine how he would humiliate Vern if it was a shoot? He'd have him in liver spot matches and old folks home matches and God knows what else. First guy to get his arthritis to kick in. I mean, wow.
A walker on a pole match.
But hold on, but you're missing the point. You're missing the point. It's Vern in his prime, not in the years.
Yeah. Okay.
Next match.
Go ahead.
Loser leaves town match. The Midnight Rockers versus the original Midnight Express versus the East-West Connection. Whoever gets pinned or submits causes his entire team to leave the AWA. Does Governor Ventura get pinned? I say he does, according to Jay.
Prime of all three. So you got Ventura and Adonis, early 80s, correct? Original Midnights in the AWA is late 80s.
Was that Dennis Condrey and Randy Rose? Is that the original Midnights? Yes. Okay, because my Midnights were Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane, and I know that wasn't the case, but I'm just thinking Randy Rose, Dennis Condrey were the first in my mind. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm getting that.
They were.
Okay.
Wow. And who was the third team, Joe?
Rockers, Express, and the East-West Connection.
I like it. I like the mix. I think you've got a great mix of at least most of the guys that can work a match very well. We're not picking winners anyway, but I like that. I like the matchup.
Jay's third match is Loser's Manager Loses Hair match. At least that's how it's written, so that's how I read it. The match is the Blackjacks, Lanza and Mulligan, with Bobby Heenan in their corner. versus the High Flyers with Vern Gagne in their corner. Vern's willing to put up his 3 strands of hair in this match. Obviously, the High Flyers win and Heenan loses his hair. You got to give the people what they want, according to Jay.
Yeah, certainly it wouldn't take long for Vern to lose his hair, both strands. It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I can't really see Bobby getting his head shaved. He did everything else in the business, but
Yeah, would he have done it? Like, if that would have been pitched to Bobby, would he have done it?
Bobby would have done anything.
Yeah.
But
yet again, and I'll say this to Jay as well, if we're talking about Vern in his prime in the 50s, Vern still had a full head of hair.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, he had more hair than the OGs,
there you go.
On the middle hairline.
Yeah. That's how he lost his hair, just doing this over the years.
Exactly. That's what we always joked about in the office.
Yeah.
Match number 4 from Jay is a cage match, a first blood match. Dirty Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair. Since this is the AWA versions of Rhodes and Flair, this is an easy win for Dirty Dusty.
Yes and no. You had an AWA version of Ric Flair that came in at Twin Wars 90 as well. So if you're looking at that, well, of course, that was an NWA guy too. Early on, it had to be Dusty. This is before Flair actually became, a disciple of Dusty Rhodes early on too. Interesting match.
Yeah. Now, this one, I'm not sure that one of them actually wrestled in the AWA. Mick, I think you can clarify it. But it's for the AWA Championship. Nick Bockwinkel versus Gorilla Monsoon. A 2 out of 3 falls, 1 hour time limit. Both men get 1 fall, and the time limit expires before either man can win the match. Bockwinkel is still match. Did Gorilla ever wrestle in the AWA?
Not to my knowledge. If he did, he came in when it was still the Minneapolis territory in the 50s, maybe under his, Gino Morella name or whatever. I don't recall. Don't recall him in the AWA, but I would say if the match took place and we're not picking winners, Nick is going to go over Gorilla Monsoon. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think he competed in the AWA as far as I can remember.
Gotcha. Chris, you're up.
All right, let's go to our friend Steve Lardy. And he's got a preliminary here. You guys are going to have to help me out with this one. Hank Meadows versus the Great Dane.
Oh, Hank Meadows, I love that. That would sell out any arena as long as there were only 2 seats being sold. Between Hank Meadows and the Great Dane, you had a combined weight of 162 pounds. And I'm not sure, one was 80, one was 82. Good matchup, and knowing Steve Lardy, that is one that he would love to see, and that absolutely is a dream match for Steve Lardy. Remember, Hank Meadows is the guy that Larry Hennig chopped his sunburn into submission 2 falls at the old TV studio.
That match sounds like it would have been perfect for the Team Challenge series.
Would have headlined it. They would have split the $1 million.
Yep, the prelim going into the turkey on a pole match. Anyway,
are you saying that they would have taken Jake Milliman's shine? Is that what you're saying?
Oh,
Absolutely.
No. Greatest match in the history of the AWA, turkey on a pole match.
Oh, I love you guys so much.
Hey,
I love you guys so much.
And now that Joe said that, greatest match in the history, that kind of just turns to shit everything we've said about how the AWA being preeminent.
Well, you noticed that I couldn't get through the entire sentence before I started to laugh. But anyway, continue.
Oh, okay. Let's go with this one. 1973 superstar Billy Graham versus 1983 Hulk Hogan.
Oh boy, I like that. If it's the 1973 superstar Graham in his prime, absolutely. And Hulk in his prime, great matchup. Yeah, that's a good one.
Wouldn't have been technical clinic, but certainly entertaining.
Yeah, I like that. A lot of glitz in that one.
All right, let's go 1975, or I'm sorry, Greg Gagne versus Jim Brunzell when the High Flyers
In a cage.
So who'd be the baby face? Who'd be the heel? Let me ask you that.
I can tell you who wants to be the baby face, but that might not necessarily be how it turned out. That would be a scenario that I would have loved, because I've said many times, I wish, and Joe, I think you did the polar opposite. I would have loved Jim Brunzell to turn heel and be managed by Bobby Heenan against Greg Gagne. I just harkened back to Chicago when Greg wrestled Ronnie Garvin, and Ronnie was the heel and Greg was allegedly the babyface, and they booed Greg heavily in Chicago. To the point where after the match was over, Greg took a shot at the Chicago Bears. So when you go for the hometown football team, that's cheap heat.
And that's why I would want Greg to have turned heel. I think Jim would have played better with the crowd and the fans, and Greg would have played better with the heel, the boss's son, and everybody. It just, I don't know, more natural for me to have Greg as the heel. Anyway,
I think you could have had him really play the Nepo angle, though. I mean, you could have really played that up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like the match.
Okay. Let's go with another one with the eras here, guys. 1975, Nick Bockwinkel. 1965, Vern Gagne.
Wow. Depending on, this is going to be, depending on when the match is held. If you're splitting the difference and Nick hasn't hit his stride in the AWA yet, you go with Vern. People who did not see Vern in his 1960s prime don't know how good this guy really was. And he wasn't flashy. You would get maybe one or two drop kicks in a sleeper hold, maybe a flying head scissors, but he wasn't a lucha guy. He wasn't a plancha hurricane rana guy, but he was damn good. Bockwinkel 1975, that version of Nick was the AWA champion. Shit, that's a great match.
As good as it gotten with Nick Bockwinkel in 75.
Yep.
All right. And I believe I've got one more here, and this is a heel versus heel. I believe two Crushers here. Crusher Jerry Blackwell, or actually just Jerry Blackwell versus a heel Crusher in a Texas death match.
Heel Crusher.
Heel Crusher.
I'm going to assume it's babyface Jerry Blackwell.
It's a heel
I don't know. What's that?
It's villain versus villain.
Oh, okay. So it's heel Blackwell and heel Crusher. Yeah. Good match. You're going to have a brawl. And this is in their prime, correct?
Yes.
Then Crusher could work. Crusher could brawl in his prime. So I think you got a good matchup here. And like Joe said, nothing technical. You're not going to get a Luthez out of this. Good stuff.
Drop to a hold.
Well, I'll say that. I mean, the match did indeed happen, not the Texas death match version, but heel Crusher was babyface Crusher. It's just how the fans perceived him. Same styles, same everything. And so I like the match. Don't get me wrong, but Crusher, just like Mad Dog, they didn't change. It's just the way that they were perceived by the audience. So
good point.
Okay, I'm going to take on Orlando Ochoa. Sorry if I mispronounced the name. He says there was so much talent that went through the AWA. This is hard to limit to just one card. I agree, Orlando.
Yes.
Let's start with the Battle Royal. And I stayed away from the Battle Royal because I'm not a Battle Royal fan. I just not altogether. But his participants, Hulk Hogan, Jerry Blackwell, Larry Zbyszko, Jerry Lawler, Larry Hennig, Baron von Cluny, Mr. M, Dr. X, Red Bastine, Akio Sato, Crusher, Mad Dog, Leon White, Otto Vance, Colonel De Beers, Sergeant Slaughter, Steve O, Kenny J, Jake Milliman, and Adrian Adonis, with the winner being Hulk Hogan.
Well, winner aside, you certainly got a mix and match there. You got enhancement guys in there, and you've got the main event guys. I want to know how Akio Sato got in there. I mean,
I haven't heard that name in decades, but
talented wrestler, kind of Central States guy, came into the AWA, towards the end of the run there at those Rochester tapings. Kenny J, Jake the Milkman, Milliman. I'm guessing, in that match, I think not that they would have gone over. I think one of those guys would have stayed a lot longer than fans anticipated, just to build up the excitement. Hulk, go ahead.
Keep Kenny J and Milkman against Hogan for the last three, and then just have Hogan wipe the mat with them.
That you know what? I like that booking. But surprise, surprise, Hogan goes over, at least in Orlando's mind.
Yes. Match number 2. This would have been interesting. The Road Warriors versus Big Bad Bobby Duncum and Blackjack Alanza, with the winner being the Road Warriors.
Winner aside, I love the match. I think Lanza and Duncum is kind of like a Long Riders, where you've got some believability and the credibility that guys can stand up to the Road Warriors. Mm-hmm. Bobby and Jack, I don't think would have taken a lot of shit from Animal and Hawk. I like that matchup very much.
This next match, I believe, happened, but over in Japan. Not positive, but it's Billy Robinson versus Jumbo Tsuruta, with the result being a time limit draw.
So I'm assuming you're talking if you're talking 1970s Billy Robinson.
Again, every wrestler, unless they denote a year, it's every match is the wrestler in their prime.
Okay. I think it would have gone over extremely well in Japan. I don't know that it would have had the impact here in the States.
Agreed.
Okay.
Match number 4. The Midnight Rockers versus Jimmy Garvin and Mr. Electricity Steve Regal, with the winners being the Midnight Rockers by DQ.
I could see
how do we get to a DQ? How do we get to a DQ with those teams?
Shawn Michaels grabs Precious and starts making out with her.
Marty Jannetty with a foreign object.
We don't want to talk about which foreign object that would be.
No.
Tubbs. I like that, but I think Patty would probably get involved with the spray can. I like the matchup. You got 4 talented workers in there, and that's a very conceivable matchup too, by the way, for the 80s.
This next one is interesting. It's the 5th match. It's Brad Rheingans versus Masa Saito, with the winner being Brad Rheingans. Now, my only comment on that is the promos leading up to it would have been the drizzling shits.
Those promos would have been an absolute cure for insomnia.
Yeah.
Interesting. Brad Rheingans and Mr. Saito, who, of course, were very good friends, trained together, trained other athletes, both here in the States and Japan. I'm not sure that it would light the arena on fire for electricity and all over the place. You'd have a lot of mat work. If you can get through that, you've got 2 technical masters there.
Okay, and we actually have a thrown in 6th match from Orlando. It's Vern Gagne and the High Flyers versus Nick Ray and a young Ric Flair, with manager Bobby Heenan. The winner, Vern and the High Flyers, again, due to disqualification. He added also that the ring announcer would have been Eric Escala.
Well, that's great. A little plug for Eric Escala there.
WCCO radio legend.
Yep. Big time wrestling fan.
We're all tied together.
Yeah, you're all legends, all of you, at that 50-watt station that you work at.
Yeah, nobody.
Oh, you increased the output.
Baby faces definitely go over. Good match. I like it. I like the mix. But again, we were kind of saying we're not going to go over the finishes, but we sort of have delved into that. But I like the mix.
You know what, though, Mick? I kind of like how you guys kind of take it and just expand on it. I like how it just naturally comes out and you guys just kind of like add to it. I think that adds to it. Instead of just like repeating it, you guys kind of talk out the process and kind of how that works. So I'm really glad that you guys can add a little bit of depth. You know what I mean? And we can kind of layer the conversation like that.
Nobody can go deeper than we can. No more depth. That's the name of our game. Depth charge 2.
That's what she said.
Well, my only comment on Orlando's matches is this being a supercard. I'm not a fan of not one but two two disqualifications. It's a supercard. I need a finish. It's like WrestleMania. You don't have a disqualification. Well, I shouldn't say you don't, but you don't have it in the main event type of thing. That's my only comment about it. So,
Joe, Super Clash 3
doesn't count,
but loaded with disqualification. And so was Wrestle Rock. Wrestle Rock had, in its easy way out, like Chris says, lazy booking.
Well, was that because it was a multi-promotional thing and nobody wanted their – so that's why you had all of the DQs, the schmazas, whatever they want to call them?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I kind of figured that was, but –
All right, you're up, Chris.
Yeah, let's go to Ryan Leach or I apologize, Ryan, if I got your name wrong. Just let me know and I'll make sure that I correct it on next week's show. I got a fun opener here. Kurt Hennig. It's an 8-man tag. Kurt Hennig, Jim Brunzell, Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty versus Crusher, Bruiser, Stan Kowalski, and Tiny Mills. Now, I didn't see Stan and Tiny, but he says it's a clash in styles. The competitors, old school, new school, put on some compelling action, get the crowd excited.
Here's what I would say to that. In that case, I think you're obviously looking at babyface Kurt Hennig. Looking at the matchup and the tag team partners and what have you, and then Crusher, Bruiser, Mills, Kowalski, definite heels. I think in that one, there's a lot of potential there. And Crusher and Bruiser, this would be probably 1960s Crusher and Bruiser when they were at their peak. It's when you get into this generational stuff, you really have to kind of expand your vision of what's going on, and either you go back to the 80s or the 70s. I like the matchup, but I say the heels would go over in that one.
A lot of athleticism versus not so much.
Yep. There you go.
All right, let's go Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair versus Billy Graham and Bob Backlund. Now here he says it's NWA champs versus WWF champs in an AWA ring. They said back-to-back multi-man matches to open the show, but it needs to be done with an all-time AWA roster. Plus, he says, frankly, it's my fantasy booking, damn it.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's his fantasy. Give me the...
It's your booking. You can do what you want.
Do whatever you want. Absolutely. Yes. Chris, give me the names again, will you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair versus Superstar and Bob Backlund.
Okay, so I'm guessing by that matchup, Backlund and Starr would probably be the baby faces. I'm guessing you're looking at, I don't know, shit. Now that I think about it, I mean, if you're looking at heel Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, when Rick was following Dusty and wanted to be, rambling Ricky Rhodes or whatever, then you got a heel tag team.
Could you go heel Backlund though with the whole Mr. Backlund thing, or is that too far past the prime?
I think it's too far past the prime.
Okay, because I'm just trying to figure out how you make Superstar and Backlund the heels when Backlund was just as milquetoast babyface as anybody ever in the history of anything.
Well, you got to remember, Backlund and Superstar had that feud for the WWF or WWF heavyweight championship.
That's true.
So I'm guessing you have a reconciliation playing this out booking wise between Superstar and
point.
Backlund. Rhodes and Flair, I would think would have to be in their prime as heels. That'd be my take. I don't know.
Yeah, I got nothing on that one. Be interesting.
All right. Here's a women's tag match. A Lardy Kai and Judy Martin versus Medusa and Sherry Martel. And his reasoning is, he said it's a tried and true tag team versus an enemy team, which makes sense. The aesthetics and the demeanors of Medusa and Sherry, they're conflicting. Together, you could describe them as complementary. Now, could Medusa work through some of the distrust, lead her team to win over the established, well-oiled machine? Said, plus putting in a women's match at the expense of some of the male legends, but a good wrestling cards need some variance, and these women are deserving.
A lot of variables here. Leilani Kai and Judy Martin, two of the all-time greats. Absolutely greats. Sherry and Medusa, the history there. I think you kind of have to isolate Medusa here, Joe. I don't know what your feeling is on in this, but you've got Sherry, Judy, and Leilani, three established veterans. Obviously, they're going to carry Medusa through this, unless again it's prime Medusa Michelli. So it's hard to say. If you're looking early on, late 1980s Medusa Michelli, she's not quite there yet.
Well, no, but I'm looking at more Alundra Blaze Medusa Michelli. More of the heel, more of the taking the belt and throwing it in the trash version. Again, I'm going by, in my mind, what I'm considering their prime. Medusa didn't start until Super Clash 2. And she admittedly, she was green as hell. So Medusa's AWA run was not her prime.
Right.
Okay, so if I'm looking at the later version of Deuce and Sherry, yeah, I would have been, I could see the heel version of Medusa with Sherry. That would have been an interesting tag team.
I think we kind of have to, next time, if we do this again, we got to kind of narrow the parameters a little bit, because if this is an AWA supercard that we're putting on here, then you got to look at Medusa in her AWA days. I mean, technically.
But
but when we were talking about Shawn Michaels, we're talking about the Heartbreak Kid, and that was also
And I'll throw in, if you look at the AWA Ric Flair, Rick was nothing in the AWA.
Yeah, and we're talking about the Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig.
Yeah,
so, all of these guys are like, all of these talents are a lot of WCW or WWF personas.
This was a no holds barred booking.
Yeah. And you know what? And I get it. And as long as there were no parameters and no real boundaries and guidelines, this is everybody's, objective, their call. Yep, you're right. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Here is Hulk Hogan. Now he said Scott Hall. Now he said Battle of the Big Guys, doing this knowing what they would each go on to become, but seeing them nose to nose in the middle of the ring at any stage of their lives would have been compelling. Now, it wouldn't be a masterpiece, but two specimens that could move around in the ring, which would set up the very next match. Now, we did see these guys together as part of the NWO, but I don't know that we ever saw Scott Hall and Hulk Hogan as adversaries, like face to face. And yeah, in their prime, wasn't Scott Hall supposed to be the next Hulk Hogan?
He was.
What you guys have told me?
He was the guy that Vern thought was going to take Hogan's place when Hogan left. Didn't quite pan out that way. I think the key, Joe, and see if you follow up with this too. The key is what they would have become, a vision of what they would have become. So now you're looking at, 1980s Scott Hall, and by this point Hulk Hogan is Hulk Hogan. So it might have been a little mismatch. I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Give me a prime Hulk Hogan, which mid 80s, and then the Razor Ramon version of Scott Hall. I mean, Scott, when he came into the AWA, was called the Coyote.
Yep.
in the very beginning, and then it became Big Scott Hall. Scott's AWA version was, I'll say, uncomfortable. He was this huge guy, but he was still green as hell. When he became Razor Ramon, I mean, one of my favorite WWF matches was the ladder match of Razor Ramon versus
WrestleMania
Shawn
10.
Michaels. Many consider it, an absolutely fantastic match.
Yeah.
So give me that version of Scott Hall / Razor Ramon against a 1983 version of Hulk Hogan. That would have been interesting.
Again, you got the variables, and no doubt. I mean, to me, Razor Ramon, that was the pinnacle of Scott Hall.
Yes.
I mean, when he was NWO Scott, he was good. Diamond Stud, couldn't care less about that. Babyface and AWA, Razor Ramon was the guy.
Big time.
Yeah, let me ask you this about Scott Hall's look in the AWA. At that time, I believe Magnum TA was, the guy in NWA that was being groomed to succeed Flair, and we kind of know what happens there. But I look at like the permed curly mullet with the mustache. Was that kind of, I know the body was trying to be Hogan, but was the look, because I know like the Tom Selleck Magnum PI thing was big. I assume that's the Magnum TA. But was Vern trying to cultivate kind of that look with Scott Hall too? Because I can't look at that version of Scott Hall without thinking of Magnum TA. I can't do it. And I don't mean any disrespect to Scott Hall, but I look at that look as I'm like, that's Magnum TA's look.
Totally. And, I'm sure that was the intention. Scott Hall absolutely, doppelganger or whatever the Magnum TA. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that Scott, the physique was Hulk Hogan. I would say, if you look at Scott Hall, that was more a Magnum TA kind of physique. Magnum had, the hairy chest going, and he was a big guy too, big muscular guy. So I think in every respect, the idea was to be another Magnum TA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was referenced in commentary and by Vern many times that, he looked like Tom Selleck. And it's not that he was groomed to be that way. That's his look.
Yeah.
And so Vern went with the flow and, tried to combine Tom Selleck and Hulk Hogan into one.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
All right. And finally, the last one, Vern Gagne versus Nick Bockwinkel with Bobby Heenan as the referee.
Oh.
Now, I'm going to read through this scenario. I haven't read it, so this is all going to be organic. It breaks the rule of things we haven't seen, but he gets stuck that he would want one or the other in his all-time AWA card, even in a dream scenario. Couldn't think of a better matchup because they are just so AWA. Now, he said, for the sake of originality, you can say Gagne gets the victory using an unconscious Bobby Heenan's hand to count the pin for Vern himself over an equally incapacitated Nick.
I like the finish. I like the finish a lot. I'd say if Bobby's going to referee the match, there had to be a coin toss to determine who was going to be the referee. Maybe Greg and Bobby have the coin toss, and Bobby wins the coin toss. And, of course, cheats for Nick throughout, given Vern, when Vern has his illegal chokehold, Bobby breaks up the chokehold and gives Vern the 5 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, that kind of thing. But then he gets the comeuppance at the end with Vern using Bobby's own arm. I like that. I like that a lot.
I've got an idea for a twist at the end. You had said a coin flip between Greg and Bobby. How about they had a match? That would have been a weasel suit match, but Bobby wins that one by dastardly standards. Then this match happens. The finish happens as it does. Greg then comes out and puts Bobby in the weasel suit at that point.
$1 million idea.
Yeah.
I
love it. I love it. I think so. Yep. Ryan, great job. Great job.
Okay, moving on. We've got Russ Soberg. I think, pardon again, the pronunciations are wrong. He starts off with Kurt Hennig versus Billy Robinson.
again, we're into that which version.
Prime. Again,
Prime,
think of Mr. Perfect versus an early 70s Billy.
I like that a lot. Mr. Perfect sells his ass off and bumps all over the place. Can you imagine Kurt taking a Billy Robinson suplex or a Billy Robinson backbreaker? He would still be bouncing today if the match was held, way back then. I like that matchup a lot. Good stuff.
I will say, you talk about Kurt's bumps. I don't think there was a better bump taker than Kurt Hennig.
And it caught up with him, unfortunately.
Exactly. Back problems galore. Next match, Mad Dog Vachon versus Abdullah the Butcher. My only comment there is you better get buckets and rags to clean up the blood.
Yeah, you might want to cover yourself in plastic like you're at a Gallagher concert, because you're going to get splattered on. I would say there is probably 1 minute out of 10, which is all the match would go, that would be inside the ring. The other 9 would be all over the building. And depending on that, I mean, if it's a no disqualification match, it's one thing. If it's just a straight match, obviously it gets out of hand.
Yep. Third match is a tag. Bad Company versus the Fabulous Ones.
Ooh, first time we've seen the Fabs or Bad Company.
Yeah.
Here's my take on that. And Russ is a good friend. I would say, to me, that match not reeks of, but definitely feels like typical AWA stuff from the late 80s, mid to late 80s. Good matchup, but I don't know that I would have put that on a dream card of mine, but I'm not Russ.
What I like about it is names that we have not seen before, as I alluded to. So I'll give them
Akio Sato. Don't forget Akio.
Exactly. That just, and when I was doing mine, that's what I was trying to think of, and then I abandoned it. Anyway, the next match, another tag team. The Road Warriors versus the British Bulldogs. The Bulldogs never wrestled in the AWA.
I was going to say, I don't remember the Bulldogs ever being in AWA.
No, I think Nick wrestled. No, he actually wrestled Bret Hart up in Canada. Okay. So the Bulldogs, we're kind of letting you squeak in here, Russ. The Bulldog, interesting matchup. But again, because we can't put the Bulldogs in an AWA scenario, it's a little tough.
Yep. And then the fifth match is a 6-man tag. I think you'll find this one interesting. Jerry Blackwell, Andre the Giant, and Earthquake Ferris versus Brody, Nord the Barbarian, and Coquina Maximus, who went on to become Yokozuna.
First thing I would say is either reinforce the ring or get the ring out of there and just let them fight on the floor, because that ring is going down. There's no doubt about it. Very, very interesting matchup. And I would assume that the Brody, Nord, Coquina situation, that they would be the heels here. A lot of beef in that one.
Definitely. And then looks like we're moving on to our cards. So, Chris, I know you're going to be putting up picks, so I'll rattle these off.
All right. Oh, yeah. I got to get the pictures ready.
Okay. And by the way, we had a lot more submissions than this, so we'll do a follow-up show.
Maybe we
this was a partial, like.
Well, maybe we do that for next week's show. I mean, let's keep it fresh. Let's follow on with Dream Card 2. Why not?
Works
let's do it. Okay, I'm going in numerical order, so I'm not looking at the I'm not looking at the cards. So hopefully the pictures match up.
Okay, now this is my dream card, and again, I did this to get in as many names, and this is a AWA Championship mini tournament. Harley Race versus Nick Bockwinkel versus Rick Martel. So so we've got those three. There's Nick, and then we'll see Mr. Martel.
Where is the.
And then the winner
Looking
of
for, oh, there he is.
now the winner of this match would face the winner of the second match, which would be Vern Gagne.
Hang on, let's
Yep, I'll wait until
Yeah.
picks pop up.
Oh, is there Vernsky?
So this is a second match. It's Vern Gagne versus Kurt Hennig versus Billy Robinson.
Where is the? Wow.
Okay, so then you take the winner of those two three-way matches, and then they would battle for the AWA championship. I did not pick winners. If I was, I would have, and this is just me, I would go with Bockwinkel against Kurt in their primes.
Their prime. Okay.
I didn't see Vern in his prime, but that would have been my matchup.
Excellent. Good stuff. What
And
else
now-
you got?
Now I'm going to go the same methodology, a little mini tournament. This is for the AWA Tag Team Championship. The first tag team is the Road Warriors
Look at that early shot. Love it.
versus King Kong Brody
Oh,
and Stan Hansen.
oh, wow. I don't know, Joe, if that match took place in Japan at some
I'm
point.
sure, I believe it did. Never
Yeah.
happened in the AWA, and I would have loved to have seen that.
I'm with you. Love it.
And then the other match, to tag team match again for the championship, would have been the Midnight Rockers versus the High Flyers.
Ooh.
Again, in their prime.
So my question to you, Joe, is who's the babyface tag team in that one? Who do the fans react to as the baby faces?
Doesn't matter.
I'm just saying, hypothetically though, who
I mean, hypothetically, gosh, tough to say when you put both of them in their prime because both of them were so over as baby faces.
Yeah.
I mean, if I don't know, I'm going to put it as like when Bockwinkel went against Sheik. I'll let the fans decide.
You know what? I would liken this to the Flyers against Rick Martel and Tito Santana when they had that match here.
Exactly.
And in that one, I believe the fans were slightly tilted to the Flyers.
And the technical expertise of that tag team match versus the brawling of the Road Warriors against Hansen and Brody, just to me, it would have given the fans a little bit of everything.
Good stuff, buddy.
Okay, now I'm going to go with a steel cage match. And this one is a little interesting. Before I name the full tags, I'm going to put on one side, you got the Crusher. The other side is Mad Dog. And I'm hearkening back to my days. That was the first cage match I ever saw. That's what got me hooked.
Okay.
But here's where I changed things up a little bit. Crusher's tag team partner would have been the other Crusher in the AWA, Jerry Blackwell. And then on Mad Dog's team would have been Bruiser Brody. I know I have Brody in there twice, but that's how much I liked King Kong Bruiser Brody.
It's your dream card.
Exactly.
And I like the flip flops. I like the unpredictability of it. I like the two Crushers teaming up. Very, very good. Lots of places you could go with that one, Joe. Good call.
Now, the next match would have been more of a vanity pose down type of a match. It's a
You and Tubbs?
Yeah, no vanity here.
Oh.
So the three contestants, there's the first one, Jesse the Body Ventura. The second one is going to be Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
And the third one would have been the guy who started it all with these three. Superstar Billy Graham. Now, can you imagine the egos in that match? I'm not talking their own personal egos, but their personas' egos. Billy Graham started it. Jesse Ventura copied Superstar Billy Graham, and Hogan came next and copied both of them.
Wow.
I thought that would have been interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, Jesse just loved Superstar Graham. Hulk took a little bit from both guys. Interesting stuff. I like it.
This next one, I did it because I wanted to just include him. I mean, not Andre. I mean, Andre, I think if I'm talking an AWA Supercard, I needed to have Andre the Giant in there. But his opponent, I put as, I'll say it like we had talked about earlier, the Razor Ramon version of Big Scott Hall. And the reason I like this one is it's Razor Ramon with his size. Let me add this caveat. The Coyote or Big Scott Hall body with Razor Ramon's personality versus Andre the Giant. Big man versus big man.
What I would say to that is because Scott Hall as Razor Ramon was so damn good, the match might have been decent. And not because of Andre.
Well, again, let's go back to the prime Andre, like early 70s, where he could still move around, where he was still agile, not the bloated, late 70s or early 80s. I'm talking 1972, 71 version of Andre, when he could still work, where he still might actually do an arm drag. If that
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, that's why I said if he could.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that makes sense. I saw Andre and Brody wrestle each other in 1977, and Andre was still pretty decent, and the match was very good, surprisingly. So, yeah, I get what you're saying.
And then I got to add just one little bonus. It's not exactly a match, but I had to put him in there because of my Polish lineage. It's the Mighty Igor versus Ivan Putski in a kielbasa eating contest. Nazdrovye.
That is the stuff that the Team Challenge series is made of. That would be the co-main event along with the chicken eating contest at Popeye's Fried Chicken, and then turkey on a pole. So you pretty much got a gourmet of meats in that match. And there's Igor. I'm saying Igor's going to go over in that one, I think.
I had to find a way to get my Polish brethren in there, and that was my bonus match.
Okay, good stuff, buddy.
Okay, let's move on to Chris's card.
Okay.
And I know you're doing the pictures, Chris. So do you want me to call off your card?
Yeah. Why don't you? Yeah. Why you go ahead and you read the names? I'll put them up, and then I can kind of just explain mine, and you guys can fantasy book it or tear it apart. I'm okay with that.
The first match is a fatal 4-way. Bruiser and Crusher versus versus Norden versus
sorry, I accidentally deleted them. Okay. These are not loading as fast as I would have liked them to, but that's okay.
Yeah, versus the Road Warriors versus
there we go.
Versus Race and Hennig. Now I'll just rattle them off without the delay in between. We got Crusher and Bruiser versus Norden Brody versus the Road Warriors versus Race and Hennig.
Yep. And I wanted to go with some really hard hitting tag teams. I wanted to go with just pure physicality. I don't want any of the flippy foo-foo stuff. I just wanted 8 guys that would kick the shit out of each other, and they'd all love it.
I'd buy a ticket. I'd buy a ticket, Chris. You done well on that one, bud.
So thank you. Okay, Joe. Let's go to the see, this one, people have already done this, so I've kind of added a couple of different ones, but yeah, I mean, I added a little stipulation to this one, but this is one that we've seen a couple of times before, so I guess maybe that means that I was on the right path. But go ahead, Joe.
Well, Billy Robinson
Yep.
versus Kurt Hennig. The twist that you added to it was a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yeah, I'd like to see, because I've seen time limits and I've seen, like certain stipulations, which are great, but I'd really like to see these guys go 3 falls, and we would have a winner. I mean, ultimately, I'd like to see Kurt get the win. I don't know if he would based on the booking, but if we're talking about a Mr. Perfect, I just feel like Kurt Hennig, maybe Billy gets the first fall, Kurt gets the last 2, and that's what I've got with that. I don't know. Give me some feedback on that.
I like it, especially if the guys are in their prime. There's no question about that. The Billy Robinson Kurt Hennig match that I remember was Billy had already turned heel in the early 1980s, and Kurt was still a baby face. But Billy was past his prime at that point. I like the prime Billy Robinson, prime Mr. Perfect, good stuff. 2 out of 3 falls. Old school.
Like I commented earlier, the bumps that Kurt would have taken to enhance Billy's arsenal would have been fantastic.
Yep.
Match number 3 is interesting. No, it's not just Kenny J. It's an enhancement talent battle royal.
Yeah. And I mean, this is where, and you guys are going to have to help me, but I think, all of the guys that normally didn't get their shot, the Kenny J's, the George Gadaskis, the Jake Millimans, the Nacho Barreras, just guys that were always putting everybody else over, but just to have, I don't know, it's like, okay, you couldn't have won more than 3 matches during the entire year in order to be in this match. Like, you had to win less than 5 matches.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe you can have some people try and, politic their way in. Hey, I only won 4 matches. No, you won 5 matches. This is when you won, so you're disqualified. Something like that. But let these guys, I didn't pick a winner, but I just thought it would be fun to, it's like, well, somebody's got to win. That was kind of my thought.
I told you stole my idea, you SOB. But I would say this. This could be generational as to who goes over. Because in the 60s, the AWA did run some mini battle royals with enhancement guys. And for all things, they called them loser battle royals.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but that's okay, because there was just like 7, 8 guys.
Oh, okay.
This one, you could just go on and on. And the reason that I sent you Kenny's picture is because I would say in the 1970s, Kenny J would have gone over. In the 1980s, I think Jake the Milkman would have gone over. In the 1960s, believe it or not, the guy that went over was Eddie Sharkey. Eddie, was kind of he was an upper level enhancement guy in the AWA. But I love the idea. My God, you could even throw Hank Meadows and the Great Dane in there. I mean, it's I like the idea. And again, gimmick infringement, but I didn't have a chance to put the trademark on the idea.
For me, that would have fallen well under the Team Challenge Series, kielbasa eating, turkey on a pole, chicken eating contest match. But
wow,
I just, put it this way: is it? And Chris, I'm not poo-pooing the idea, but seriously, Mick, you see an enhancement battle royal, and is that going to sell any tickets?
Well, is Akio Sato?
What was the attendance at the end of the AWA's run? I mean, we certainly couldn't do anything.
Chris, you know what? I would buy a ticket. Not a real pricey one. It'd have to be single digits, but yeah.
We'd have to paper the rest of the house. We'd count the rest of the tickets.
Yeah.
If I was in the audience, that would have been a time to go get a beer and a pretzel and to take a piss.
Yeah, but you would have missed a piece of history, Joe. Just remember that. You would have.
I would have gotten back just in time for the finish, and that would have been fine.
You know what I love about this show, guys? Of all the matches that we put up so far, the one we're arguing about is the enhancement battle royal. Shit.
I guess everybody needs a match that you have to go take a shit during. And congratulations, Tubbsy. I just booked the shittiest match. No pun intended.
You
I
know something?
wouldn't go that far. I mean, the
Hey,
kielbasa
Chris,
eating.
you got the participation trophy, pal.
There you go.
You're all right.
Hey, you know what? That's okay. Well, let's go to another one that I think people would want to see, Joe.
And I actually think, and Mick, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm remembering correctly, this match may have happened. It's Andre the Giant
Oh, well, son of a bitch.
versus Jerry
I
Blackwell.
thought I was being original.
So Andre versus Jerry Blackwell in a body slam match.
I know that they wrestled each other. I don't remember if they had a body slam match. I know that Blackwell and Dino Bravo had a body slam match.
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't know about Andre and Jerry. I think it's a foregone conclusion who would go over in that one. But yeah, Chris, I like the uniqueness of it. And when you talk about selling tickets, that would do it. That would pop.
I agree.
Yep.
See, you don't tell anybody about the enhancement battle royal. That's like an added attraction. You don't put that on the card. You're like, oh my God, we're going to have a battle royal. That way, people have to watch it.
Chris, you know, if I'm going to get up and take a shit, in any match, it's not going to be in your enhancement battle royal. I'm telling you, I'll give you that, buddy. Yeah.
I didn't say take a shit. I just said take a piss. That's a lot quicker.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
well, big difference there.
Yeah. I had to get back to see the finish, of course.
Got it. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. And my main event, I did add an extra one that'll be a dark match, but we'll talk about that. But I do want to get to this one because I would have loved to have seen this one. Maybe it took place. I don't know, but I would have liked to have seen it.
I believe it did. It's Nick Bockwinkel with Bobby Heenan in his corner, of course, versus Rick Martel. Now, Chris, my question to you.
Yes.
Is it the AWA Rick Martel or is it the model Rick Martel? Because if it's the model, we got heel versus heel.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go. I was going to go the model Rick Martel because I loved his heel persona. I thought about Bockwinkel and Stevens versus Martel and Tito Santana. I was going that way at first, but then I was like, okay, I really enjoyed the model persona with the arrogance. So yeah, I was thinking heel versus heel is kind of what I was thinking.
Masterclass in wrestling with those two guys right there. No doubt. Didn't get a lot better than when Nick would wrestle Rick Martel. I don't care what the circumstances were. And Bobby in the corner, unless they had Bobby get hit over the head with something and they sent him back to the locker room early on. Good stuff. Good stuff, Chris. I like it.
Yeah. And I did have, because we had the Billy Robinson, Kurt Hennig stuff, I did throw a handicap match on there. We don't have
but you had one other before the handicap match. You've got
I did, and this kind of piggybacks off of yours, Joe. Kind of a fun little gimmick. I had a pose down between Jesse and Superstar, just the two of them, because I mean, you guys talk about how Jesse borrowed from Superstar. I just feel like those two trying to out cheese each other would be hilarious.
Love it.
And I mean, they could do it. Like, I feel like those two would have so much fun trying to one up each other with the goofiness of the posing and the gimmick.
Good. Absolutely. Well done.
No, your next match, I think, you call it a 12-on-1 handicap match. I'm going to call it the Vendetta match.
Yes. This is one that I just booked on the fly. This is starting the show and then realizing that you've got an angle that you can put together on the fly. Here's what we have got, and we don't have pictures. Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen, Mad Dog, Crusher, Bruiser, the Roadies, Abdullah, John Nord, Jerry Blackwell, Andre, and Coquina Maximus. That's one side. On the other side, the boombox guy in a death match.
Where can I get my ticket? They talk about the overpriced WrestleMania tickets. That is one that I think is worth, $1,000 at least to sit front row for that one. There's the match of the night right there, bud.
to have that match, I think, or to host that match, I think it should be done in a state prison, in the state prison yard with nothing but the convicts in the audience.
He could be wearing the old Kevin Kelly nails DOC orange.
Well, he'd be wearing the old crimson mask.
It's a prison yard match. It's a prison yard match.
I like that, and I would hope that he would be shackled going into the ring with those 12 guys. Or whatever. Yeah, I like that.
So
well done, buddy.
That was my little added attraction.
You popped the house
because nobody else booked that.
Yep.
I booked a lot of stuff that had been done apparently, which I guess is good, but that's a Tubbsy original right there.
And you know something? That is a legitimate dream match right there. There we go.
So, all right. Joe, you want to go ahead and hand it off to Mick, and you guys can go through Mick's.
Okay, here's Mick's dream card. We're going to start off with the three-way tag team. We've got Bockwinkel and Stevens. And I'll call these out as the pictures appear.
Okay, yep, hold on.
Bockwinkel and Stevens, and I will have to add, I know I did not include Ray in my list. I couldn't fit him in somehow, and I'm disappointed that I didn't, but he should be on any AWA supercard. Next is Murder Incorporated, Mills and Kowalski. And the third tag team would have been Larry Pretty Boy Hennig and Handsome Harley Race.
It is no coincidence that those are my three favorite AWA tag teams of all time. In that order, by the way. And I would say in all cases, this is it's a three-way heels tag team match. There's no baby faces in this one. Nick and Ray, Tiny and Stan, and Larry and Harley, all three held AWA tag team gold at one point. And again, I'm, the variant going back to the 1960s. But Nick and Ray with those old AWA tag team championship belts, I love it, against Tiny and Stan, Murder Incorporated, and of course, Larry Pretty Boy Hennig and Handsome Harley Race, the Dolly sisters.
And that's what I love about our three-way dynamic. Mick, you're, I'll say 60s. I'm, 60s, 70s. I'm 70s, 80s. And Chris is 80s. And so having that variation, and I knew you would include Murder Incorporated and some of the other guys on the list that were from the 60s that I just simply was too young. And Chris, you weren't even a thought in your dad's eyes or your mom.
Yeah, I wasn't even a twinkle in. I wasn't even a twitch in my daddy's loins at that point.
Exactly. Next match.
Isn't that a tag team? Twitch and loins? Aren't they going to be on an indie show? All right.
Jerk and
Don't
pull.
give anybody any ideas.
Yeah.
Jerk and pull with their manager Squirt.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh God. Wow.
The next match, of course, we've got.
There'd be an early finish, though. There'd be no time limit draw.
Well, it depends on,
early.
Depends on who's in the match.
Yeah. By the way, before we go to his opponent, look at that belt. That is one of the early AWA heavyweight championship belts, and it says World Champion Wrestler. That's the inscription. And Mad Dog has a cartoon face of himself on the belt. The AWA, God love them. I love the belt. They spared no expense in putting that one together.
I love it. Okay, so you've got Mad Dog. We can see him as the first participant. By the way, this is a steel cage match, and his opponent would be, Pampero Firpo.
If nothing else, you would have a lot of fur in that match flying around. So legitimately, when they say the fur is going to fly, it would in this one. Mad Dog Vachon, Pampero Firpo, very similar in size, two of the greatest wild men in the history of wrestling. The watered down version of Pampero Firpo, late 70s AWA, no. This is 1960s stuff. Mid 60s were vile heels. Put them in the cage.
I like it.
Next up.
But my favorite part about that is they're both about the same size.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, the next match, Billy. This one's interesting. We got Billy Robinson, not this version. That's the later version, I think, of Billy. But Billy Robinson versus.
Where is he?
Vader.
This I thought about this one for a while, and I got to tell you, my alternate.
It's time to wash your
Is
gear.
that the Iron Duke? Oh no, that one.
Oh boy. Or yeah, and this is not the Vader that came out on WWF programming and called himself a fat, washed up piece of shit. This is the reason that I put this one together is because of Billy Robinson's reputation as a bully, pushing people around, and I don't know that Leon White would have been the guy to try that with. So in my mind, I just thought, okay, you got to have Robinson in there. If you got a dream card, who's one guy that he's not going to bully and not push around? And it would have been Vader.
Well, and I got to add to that it's two guys that weren't very well liked in the locker room. So what, a true heel versus heel approach.
Yep. Who's going to sell and who isn't?
Exactly.
Yeah. See, and to me, like the best Vader, I like the Japan version, but I also like the early WCW version, like the big Van Vader with the helmet. I know it was kind of like corny and stuff, but I felt like before he got into his feud with Ric Flair there, I don't even remember him in the AWA, but I do feel like, once he kind of got to the later WCW and into WWF, it was just like, he was just another guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And managed by Harley Race, of course.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Two badass dudes right there.
Yep.
And by the way, I got to add this. I know I talked about Vader or Leon White not being liked in the locker room. I never had any problem with him. He actually broke into the AWA with another former professional football player, Greg Boyd.
Yes.
And Greg, I don't think ever went on to do much or anything in the business, but I never had any problem with either of them. So just wanted to throw that in there. The next match is a tag team match, and again, this is going to be bringing in some of the old school guys. We got Brody and Hansen right there. This would have been pre-running over the AWA Championship belt by Stan Hansen against the Kalmakoffs.
The reason, and again, if you don't remember the Kalmakoffs from the early 1960s, you don't get the full impact. But again, my dream card. The Kalmakoff brothers were the stereotypical Russian invasion heels, long before Ivan Koloff and Nikita Koloff and Boris Zukov and what have you. They were it. I mean, they were big time heels here in the AWA, feuded with Crusher and Bruiser in the early 60s. And, to put them against Stan and Brody, the Kalmakoffs were not big guys, let me tell you that. I mean, just for size perspective, but they were classic heels and devious and hated by the fans. And to have Brody and Stan come in there, and Brody and Stan would have been the baby faces against the Kalmakoff brothers. To me, that's one of my dream matches.
I was going to ask you who would have been the heels and the faces in that one. Brody and Hansen, I think, were over. Whether they never portrayed themselves as baby faces, but right. They were over in Japan. I mean, they still say to this day, arguably the greatest tag team in Japanese wrestling history, at least the most popular, the most revered of the day.
Well, those really physical tag teams, though, like those are always over there. Because kind of like the Terry Gordy and Dr. Death, like those just monster tag teams. People they are so over with the Japanese fans.
Agreed.
Yeah. And there's the anomalies, the big Japanese wrestlers, but for the most part, if you think about, and I don't mean to stereotype, but Japanese as a whole are not a large population in size. So when
But these are all
guys,
foreigners, isn't it? Because like they're large foreigners and they're big monsters that they're not.
absolutely,
You know, I kind of think that's it, right? They're like awed by the size and the physicality.
very much so, very much.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Mick's last match is a three-way. It's the mysterious Mr. M versus they call him Big Thunder, Gene Kaniski, versus the boss. We're talking about Mr. Vern Gagne, but I threw that in there.
History buffs will know that Vern, Gene Kaniski, and Mr. M, I don't know if they were the first 3 officially recognized AWA Tag Team Champions. I know that from 1960 to 1962, each one of those guys was an AWA heavyweight champion. Mr. M, Bill Miller, and of course, Gene Kaniski, who was the only man in history to hold both the AWA and NWA singles championships. And of course, Mr. Gagne. To me, again, an old school guy. The earliest memories I've had of champions in the business, these 3.
Did Bill Miller break his nose a few times?
Yeah, it certainly looks like it. Plus the fact that mask, I mean, this is not your typical mask. This looks like somebody blew up a football and put it on the guy's head. There's
It
not
looks like
a lot
it's
of
leather.
Yeah, the original Leatherface.
Very much so, so not a lot of breathing room there for Mr. M. This was an early publicity shot, and as Bill went on in his career in the AWA, he got the more traditional mask. But this may have been just for a publicity shot. I don't recall. But yeah, there you go. I want to thank everybody. Boy, you guys delivered, and Joe, good idea. Let's keep it going next week. We went an hour and a half today and gave this the airspace that it needed, and maybe we do that again next week.
Yeah, I mean, if we've still got a lot more, I don't want to ask people to send things in and then not use them.
Right.
So yeah, let's treat it like a Q&A where everybody's cards. If you sent a card in, let's get it on the show because I want to reward people for putting their cards out there.
And we don't have to, the 3 of us don't have to submit another card, so that'll give us more time for the fans.
Yep.
I will have to say there are, and I alluded to it earlier about Ray Stevens. There are so many names that I would have liked to have included, but I mean, Ray Stevens. I'm going to throw in the Fabulous Freebirds. I'm going to throw in the Destruction Crew from the later years.
I had a hard time leaving the Destruction Crew off.
There were just so many, but you're limited by 5 matches. And yeah, I know my Kielbasa match was, that's not even a match. That's just a gimmick. But there are so many that still deserved to be included in my list. But I knew, I said earlier that, Mick, you were going to include some of the guys or some of the talent from the 60s. So thank you for doing that.
And one match that I was going to add and didn't would be a Russian chain / Indian strap match where all 4 arms are involved, and it would have been Wahoo McDaniel and Ivan Koloff.
I'll throw in Nikita Koloff too. He wrestled in the AWA later on, but let's take the earlier version of Nikita.
Yeah.
Throw in Wahoo. I might even add Superstar Billy Graham because of the strap matches that Wahoo and Superstar Billy Graham. So have all 4 of them strapped together. I like it.
So and I've already got Boombox Guy on, so we don't have to worry about him.
Yeah.
So in case anybody wanted to, I mean,
no, he's already been picked up by a spatula after that 12-on-1.
Yep.
So good stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Let's get to some shout outs. And I mean, it's a episode 200. It's longer because we had more stuff, but we'll go back to a little more condensed next week. But yeah, let's run through the rest of these dream cards until we get them done. So, and if you haven't submitted it, submit it to slicksnr@gmail.com and we'll get it on. So, all right. Let's go with shout outs.
Shout out, my buddy Jim Pouquet. Jim, great wrestling fan. And I'm telling you, this guy is more loyal to the podcast than just about anybody. I mean, he responds right away, lets us know what he loves about the podcast. Big fan of all three of us. Jim, shout out to you, buddy.
My shout out goes to, unfortunately, another passing in the AWA wrestling family, extended family, I will say. I've shared on here the relationship that I had with El DeRusha. Well, just very recently, his wife, Marlene DeRusha, passed away. And of course, Gary DeRusha, Juice, that was his mom. Al was his dad. Marlene, in her later years, and even when still when Al was around, Marlene started suffering from dementia and memory loss. And even right up to the end, she didn't know that Al had passed away. So it's sad, but at the same time, it was time, but anyway, hats off to Mar, as Al would call her.
Yeah. And I was going to do something funny, but I'm not, because I think that's a very good, it's a very good tribute there, Joe. I'm going to go with my buddy, Ryan Wenzel. I cleared it out because I had a couple of different things. I'm going to go with Ryan. Now is not the time to have some fun and, kind of be haha, because, yeah, she was a very important lady to you, Joe, and to Al and to Gary. So my buddy, Ryan Wenzel, he's my shout out this week.
And thanks again, everybody. You got a few days before we do our next taping, so get those submissions in if you haven't already for your dream card. Really appreciate the participation, especially those who went the extra mile and booked the finishes. They kind of took their dream and elaborated on it. So great stuff. Joe, in your Polish kielbasa match. Chris, your enhancement battle royal. I think those two matches alone worth the price of admission.
Can I leave on a high note, though? This will make us all happy.
But yeah. You can go on the high note, but I just got to make one comment. Nobody submitted the Polish Joe versus Mick Karch in a strap match inside of a cage with tables, ladders, and chairs.
Because nobody gives a shit.
Well,
it's probably.
I would have had an opportunity finally. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Oh. Wow.